Hello, my name is Montana Beck, and I was the sheep judge for the 2020 Butte Stock Show. I'm about to talk the overall top 5 weather dams. This particular division is started by entry 0196. This is a really elite ewe lamb. The longest neck sheep in the particular division ties that neck in high and neat above a shorter blade and smoother shoulder. She blends her scapula a notch more smoother into her forerib. She's tucked up in her sternum while still being bold and robust in the center portion of her body. She's deep enough flanked, and when we get in right behind this one is where she's really impressive. She's the biggest and squarest in her hip. She reads with plenty of dimension and power to her lower leg and stifle, and she's certainly the stoutest and burliest where she contacts the surface. I really like this one. Young lady should be proud of her project. Taking very little away from the ewe lamb that stands reserve in this division, entry 0325 is a long neck sheep that's attractive from the side. Maybe she's not as exaggerated in how tight and neat she is up front, but when we get right over top of this one, she's big and bold in terms of her rack shape. She's wide loined and big in her pen. I like all those things about her, and what really sets these first two sheep apart is really how athletic they are when they're set into motion. These are ewes that are going to go on and make extremely athletic wethers that are capable of competing at many different levels. Congratulations to the two young ladies. That's a really nice champion in reserve. The third sheep overall in this division is one I like in terms of just being have the fundamentals of a breeding sheep. She's long enough necked. She's ultra bold in her rib shape. She's big topped. I love how much width she's got when we get in right behind her. Unfortunately, she may take her ruggedness a notch too far. This sheep's one that is bolder and coarser in her shoulder. When she's on the drive, she doesn't want to tie together quite as attractively as the two above her, and if we can change those things about her, there's no doubt in my mind that that's a high quality one that can be competitive at many different levels. The sheep that stands in 4 was one that was a challenge for me, and I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of the way this video is edited together. I think it works to a disadvantage for the young lady, but when you really stop and study the sheep, she's one of the stoutest featured in this division. She's ultra big bodied and bold ribbed. She's long enough necked and attractive enough from the side. At times I question if her neck ties in perfect into her forepart of her rib cage. I wonder if she's really big enough pinned, but I think when you look at her at a holistic view, there's just too much good in this one to really beat. The ewe that rounds out our top 5 is 0010, and I think this sheep is really good for being as moderate and short-coupled as she is. I love her rib shape. I love how much muscularity she has, and when you get in right behind her, she certainly has a giant hip and stifle. Unfortunately, she's the shortest-bodied, lowest-fronted sheep in this class, and for me, when I'm picking out females, I really just like to have them have a little more length and elevation. Really nice set of sheep. I think 6, 7, and 8 were really good. A young lady that exhibits 5 exhibited number 6 overall. 7 was a really nice speckled face sheep. A young man had a really nice set of all day. 8 was a really nice tall shouldered sheep. A young lady in a blue shirt had extremely competitive division. This is the overall Wether Sire division, and this division is won by 0314. The stoutest featured, most rugged ram in the show wins this division, and even though he's one of the younger, more immature sheep, he's certainly the stoutest featured. The widest chested ram is also the boldest ribbed, and he's square enough out of his hip. Sure, I'd like to see him cleaned up about his shoulder and breastplate, and that's where the reserve champion ram does have an advantage. Entry 0041 is one that's tucked up in his sternum and deep in his flank, but when we get right behind the frailer featured sheep, he certainly doesn't have as much muscle and power over his rack. He's plainer about his loin and gets narrower and flatter about his pen and lower leg. The sheep that comes in 3 is entry number 0339. This is the tallest shouldered, longest bodied ram in the show, and I really like those things about him. Unfortunately, he may take his refinement a notch too far. He's a frailer featured sheep that gets a notch too far forward in his blade. I'd like to see him bigger and bolder in terms of his rib shape. And when we get right behind him, I think this one could read with more muscle and power from behind. But he certainly has more oomph than the sheep that comes in 4. Entry number 0081 is a tall-shouldered, long-necked sheep that's ultra attractive from the side. Unfortunately, this one just gets out-horsed in this particular division. I think one of the most immature sheep in this particular drive just needs more time on feed. No doubt in my mind that's a high-quality project for the young man. All the exhibitors should be proud of their efforts.